we hit the South region where Alabama is not just the #1 seed in the South, they're the #1 seed overall. First time ever in school history that the Crimson Tide have earned a #1 seed. They get Maryland or West Virginia in the second round, but I love the potential matchup, Doug, of Alabama and Virginia in the Sweet 16 because of the contrast in styles. I think that could give Nate Oates and those young Crimson Tide players a little bit of trouble because, and again, I'm putting them forward. I am. I think that's going to be the matchup. But do you see anybody else standing in the way of Alabama to get to the Sweet 16 and play Virginia?
No. Like, I think San Diego State could they're a team that could get to that Sweet 16 and face them. They got better players than other teams.
San Diego State or Alabama?
Alabama has better players.
Yes.
And I think we both think that Nate can really coach.
He can coach, and he's figured out a way. I know they've had their issues off the court in terms of publicly.
Right, but
privately?
It doesn't seem to have had much of an effect. And that's the magic to this thing, right? You talk to coaches and they're like, look, it's 90% not coaching is the coaching. And he's pretty masterful at it, at keeping them focused. And, what does it take to win in March? You just said we're talking about guard play.
Yep.
And though they have inexperience, not in the backcourt.
Right.
This is Sears' first time, right? Yep. But he's a third-year player playing 2 years at Ohio U. Yep. And then they have Quinterly, who comes in off the bench, and he played very well over the weekend. He's playing his best basketball, feels like he's off the knee, and he's been there forever. He's got experience even deep in the tournament out of Alabama. I really like this.
They got a lot of guys. They just got a lot of guys at every position, and they have almost everything you need, right? Like if
they don't have almost, they do.
If Quinterly's not playing well, you could throw in Jaden Bradley, a freshman.
Right, but they also have, and then Clowney's ability to defend, but also score, and then Bediako's ability to defend the rim.
Yeah.
They have Sears can really score. They can run the team. I really like this team, and this is one of those deals to where I understand that there are other things to talk about with Alabama, but when you just talk about playing hoop for 40 minutes, they have. It's like if their name was Kentucky across the front of their chest, we would be saying Kentucky or the field. That's how talented they are.
I think you're right.
Okay?
I think you're right.
It's just hard for us to adjust to. Wait, Alabama's a football school.
And again, they've gone through a lot. So I think that threw us off as well. Is like, okay, they're dealing with one of their teammates being indicted for murder. They're dealing with another one of their teammates.
Right, I understand. But, like, look, I got a chance on Compass Radio to call the Kentucky game. This one was played in Tuscaloosa.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, I watched that game, and you're like, it isn't even close in terms of the level of talent.
And that's amazing.
Like, not even close.
The job Nate has done to recruit is amazing because, again, Brandon Miller could have went anywhere.
Right.
He didn't get huge NIL either at Alabama.
Well, but there's another level to it. It's not just that. It's what they've done in the portal. Sears he's from the state of Alabama.
Yeah.
They get him to transfer up, right? They got Quinterly. I don't know if they really wanted him to stay and he got hurt.
I don't think they did.
But they've gotten him to buy in.
Quinterly wasn't going to be here unless he got hurt.
Right. So all of these things, it's kind of worked out together. And the depth of talent, they have just enough experience. And Nate's a very, very good coach. And there is one thing. When you coach high school basketball, you're dealing with a lot of this stuff a lot more than some of the guys.
Selling candy.
But in terms of
I'm kidding, but
in terms of adjusting on the fly, not a lot of time to prepare, got to adjust to a certain game when a kid's sick or not feeling well. He does all those little things well. Alabama's the best team.
Bottom half of the bracket, I think it's intriguing as all get up. You've got a Creighton-Baylor potential matchup in the second round, which to me is going to be phenomenal. A lot of points being scored in that one. And then the bottom of the bracket, look at Missouri-Utah State, a potential Missouri-Arizona matchup, which again, contrast of styles.
Yeah.
Arizona with their two bigs. Can they guard a Missouri team that got a bunch of dudes?
Can they get the ball past half court?
That too.
Can they get the ball past half court?
I mean, they got a couple point guards in Kirk Kriisa and Kai Boswell.
Look, the thing about Arizona is they have a reputation of, hey, they're just a little soft. Right, and some of it is this is how people.
Tell Tommy Lloyd.
This is how he knows it. He knows that's what people say about us. They use that as that mantra. Yeah. Okay, so, I mean, UCLA kind of pushed them around in Poly going back a week ago. And, of course, they survived UCLA over the weekend. UCLA not at
Without
full
a couple
strength.
guys.
Okay, but that's okay. But that's their reputation is it's kind of like the old Gonzaga days. Is, man, like their guards like to shoot, and they like to hit shots and throw up the three and do the arrow thing, but they don't like it when it gets nasty. Now, look, Missouri's got to beat Utah State. It's a good Utah State club. And Ryan Odom let's not forget, he's had a very known, successful win in the tournament.
Little win over Virginia. Maybe the best win in tournament history.
And Stephen Cashworth can really shoot that basketball. That's a good team. But, yeah, I think there's some interesting battles along the way for Arizona. I think Arizona survives that fray and gets to the Sweet 16.
Okay.
But it is not – they do not have a walk in the park.
Boy, I'll tell you. I mean, again, I've got Creighton, Missouri. And I think you have the opposite. I think you have Baylor, Arizona.
Yes.
I have Creighton, Missouri. But it just shows you how wide open that bottom half is because Dennis Gates has done an incredible job with that Creighton team. With Missouri team. And Creighton, to me, again, you look at them and their starting five, I might put up against anybody's starting five in the country. The problem is their depth. And whether they're making shots, right? If Baylor Shireman is making shots, and they've got Kaluma and Kalkbrenner, but somebody's got to make shots for them to have a shot.
Okay, so you think there's a difference in their personnel versus Baylor's personnel?
I think they have more. They have more. Yeah, I think
and LJ Cryer and Keontae Johnson.
If one of those guards isn't on.
Okay, but you said the same thing about Baylor.
No, I think Creighton's got more options. I think they got five dudes. Alexander, Kaluma, Kalkbrenner, Nemhard. They've got enough that if one guy is off, Creighton still can win a game. Baylor, if one of their three dudes is off,
I'm going to disagree.
You get nothing up front.
They don't get a ton up front.
That's my worry.
Because of injuries, when Keontae missed a couple games, they developed their bench a little bit more. Getting everyday John back gives them. They have Flo Thamba and him. They have more depth on the interior.
There's not a lot of scoring.
And I would also point this out.
Jalen Bridges has to be really good for Baylor. Has to be.
I agree.
He's the X factor.
I would agree. And at some point, we're going to have to say this. Scott Drew can coach some ball.
Well, we know that now. We're not still talking about this, are we?
Well, look, he's lost his assistants. And his assistants have all gone on to be successful at North Texas, Oral Roberts, and Kansas State.
Yes.
And so the question is, okay, you're replacing them with guys. Are they as good? They're not as good defensively as they've been. They're not close. They spread you out and they shoot the three. I agree. That's a great
game. If
they both get there.
It's an eye-pleasing game.
Yes.
Is what it is.
And it's interesting because Creighton was a preseason top 10, top 5 level team. Injuries, and then they never really hit that mark. Even in New York this past week, they didn't look yet
Quickly.
Yes.
Who do you got coming out of this region?
Out of the region overall?
Yes, overall.
Who did I pick? Alabama.
Yeah. I agree. I picked Alabama as well.
I think people are overthinking it.